I'll remember, and then I'll work very hard to free myself from it. So I don't abuse the person in front of me who is either giving me the forgiveness, or I've asked, or I've given them forgiveness, or we're doing something, whatever it is. I don't want to hurt them anymore. I already did that, obviously, or something's already happened. So how do we move forward?
Let's impact some today. I think we're gonna do a great job.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Man Podcast, where we connect men in pursuit of their potential. Now, I encourage you to join us as we embrace discomfort, cultivate community, and put wind in each other's sails. And before we jump into today's episode, I want to make sure that I ask you to hit that like button and subscribe button to get a new episode each and every single week, and share this with other men you know who are in pursuit of their potential as well. Also, don't forget to check out the Noble Knights Mastermind group. There you can find the support, accountability, and mentorship you need to achieve your goals. Join us and become a community of like-minded men, elevating their capacity for life. I'm excited to get some wind in our sails today. Guys, it's an absolute honor for me to introduce coach, trainer, author, founder of Uphill Strategies, host of the Blank Pages podcast, and to me, a mentor, a friend, a brother, an inspiration, the man that married my wife and I. I didn't think I'd get emotional for this, but Tim Pecoraro, man, thank you for being on.
Hey, I am so honored to be here. And hey, has anyone ever told you should maybe go on television or something? Have you ever been told you should be on TV?
Once or twice.
Man, that intro, first of all, I was touched by your intro. I was like, man, that flow, you know what I'm saying? But it is funny because, first of all, I'm honored by the intro. Thank you and the listeners, you guys are listening. Your ears are blessed by one of the very best people that I know that are in pursuit of a higher calling on a regular basis. Even when it costs them, and even when they inflict injury upon themselves, which we won't go into what that was, but they still learn from it. They learn, and I appreciate that about you, Ted. So I only want to connect with people like that, and being on this show and whatever you're doing, I'm honored to be a part of it. And of course, you and the bride, Jess, and the baby, and what you've got in legacy, the phaeton, the generation, the extension, the future. You know that fires me up beyond anything else. That you have been called to something much bigger than you. That you are more than that. I mean, you are more than anything you've ever become. So I'm so honored to be connected with you. I was wondering when it was you're gonna get me on the new show, but here I am. I was just kidding. And then just seeing all of the work, seeing your consistency, seeing your commitment, all of that. I'm honored to know that for me, in the breaks that I've taken, okay? And some of the breaks, I didn't need to take them, and I just did because maybe I ran out of something, fuel, steam, whatever. I'm just being honest about it. Or I just took a break because it was necessary. I just appreciate in the times that even as you've taken breaks, you kept working and you kept bringing out new things, because I need that inspiration. We can't always be on, and we need people that we can trust to still be moving, even when they're adjusting and going through difficult things. So I want to let you know, as I've been watching you do that, that was part of what I needed as fuel and feeding me as I knew the new things that I wanted to bring out into the world. So thank you for not even knowing that that's something that you were doing.
Dude, man, I received that. My heart is full, and man, we're only 3 minutes, 24 seconds in. I don't know how to continue. That's never happened.
Hey man, let's get going, right? Let's go. I'm ready.
Listen, this is usually the opportunity I give the guests to get acquainted with the audience, because I get to have the pre-interview, and in this case, we've had years of time together and memories and history. But in the brief time we have for the audience, I'd love to give you the stage really quick to speak to them directly, introduce Tim Pecoraro, who they have not been graced with. If you don't know, now you know. But please address the folks, and then we could jump into our conversation, man.
Okay. Well, people say serial entrepreneur or whatever. I'm just a person that believes that continuous improvement, it's really not a suggestion. I think it's something that's built into us and it's wired into us as humans. We're sent to this earth to innovate. and to build. We're wired, and with that comes with unique personalities and all that stuff. And I'm one of those people that embraces that. I'm into embracing those unmistakable qualities that each person has within themselves. Thus to the point which anybody, you cannot take this or copy it. It is mine, belongs to me, but Be Dangerous, that will be out hopefully this year, is all about that unmistakable self, right? So that is who I am. I'm a person that believes that in each one of us, we are formidable, we are strong, we have voice, and we can make an impact. I also especially love underdogs. I love the people who are marginalized, pushed out, been pushed aside, because I grew up that way. As much people think, well, how are you as much, people view my confidence as like I've never gone through something. Well, no. The reason I have confidence is because of what I've gone through. Even if sometimes that confidence became overconfident, it's because of what I'd gone through, but I still learn. So how I show up every day is I'm just this guy. Number one, I want to tell you, I'm a man who believes he leads. He's supposed to lead. I'm a leader. I'm a communicator, and I'm an artistic person, a creator of creative things. So I believe everything I do in my life I should be able to first lead myself and step into things and lead and help lead, which leadership is influence. The second thing that I do is I want to communication. I want to always make sure that there is a way for people to know how to collaborate. Collaboration is the admission of weakness. So if we could understand immediately, I need you, not because I'm inferior, but because we are uniquely positioned to work together. We are uniquely designed and created to work together. We just have to understand that we are uniquely that way. We just have to be willing to collaborate, which means I have to admit something. I need you. So I try to get people to be able to communicate, break down barriers like that, understand communication is there's a story and there's a message. Communication is, who are you? How do you show up? Communication is how can you help? Do you understand your role in a person's life? Do you not understand? I mean, all those things, that's communication. What you say, you don't say. But then there's the art and the creativity. I'm an artist, not just a creative. I believe everyone's creative to some degree. But I'm an artist. In other words, I want to do that with communication, illustrations, metaphors. I want to help people figure things out. I'm the kid that got in trouble because everything could become a double entendre, right? So not that I would do it on purpose. I just realized I could do it. So a lot of things that I had to learn to grow up with. So what do I do with all of that? I ran for the longest time from understanding what it meant to be unique. Instead, I was a chameleon and I borrowed from everything. So then a point in my life at 21, I couldn't stand people. I didn't like authority. I didn't trust anyone. I had gone through a lot of things in my life, abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, things that happened in my life as a kid. And to a point where I was done blaming other people. And I met someone, and it was a man who was many years my senior, who was a mentor all the way up to his passing. And he literally told me that if I would trust him and give him an opportunity to build that trust, that he could show me that we both needed the same thing. And that was an opportunity. We both, in my case, spiritually, I was seeking things, and that we both are like, none of us are better than the other. We both have failures. There's no misdemeanor and felony sins, right? So he tried to teach me that I didn't want to be at any kind of level of anything that was deficient or broken, that I always wanted to improve. And so he taught me how to work in that direction, take responsibility for myself. And then through there, so I spent in my 20s and then in my 30s, pursuing that, how to put that to work and self-actualizing, how to make that work. And some of those things were really good decisions, and then there were bad ones, right? But then in that, I was an entrepreneur. So from the age of 24 all the way up to where I am now, I've been a 1099, basically. And that means I have to sign the front and the back of the check. And I'm the one responsible for whatever happens. And so my life looks like that. And so I'm okay with it because I'm an entrepreneur. I love that. But my focus is always people. And so what I first started out was helping people, again, tell stories, right? Leader, communicate, artist. But I was with brands to tell their story. And so I help brands bring awareness around like nonprofits that raise money for food, shelter, clothing, things like that, dinner theaters. And I would organize people that you couldn't pay. And the reason I did that was because I met a man named John Maxwell when I was 21 who saw leadership in me. He said, but if you want to prove your leadership, go lead people who you can't pay with money, anything. And the only thing you have is vision. And you have to be able to demonstrate that you can lead them to do something bigger than themselves. And so that's what I did. And I got addicted to it. And not only addicted to it, I got addicted to what it takes. And what that means is you have to change, you have to improve, you have to get better. And so that was my pursuit of how can a person not just tell a story for a brand about what you do, but how can the person be the brand? So there's the brand called you first that steps into the brands called everything else. And so that is what I've been doing since, I would say, I really got aggressive with it. Probably 29, 30, probably 35, all the way up to where I am now. So then I flipped from the story of the brand to the person being the brand. So in 2012, I really switched it because that's where my heart was. And incidentally, that's my last name, which is a whole nother thing that'll be coming in my book. But Pecoraro is my last name, which means shepherd. And the incidental part, or ironically, it's an Italian last name, and my whole lineage is nowhere near Africa. I mean, near Italy, but Africa. That's a whole nother topic. So I was living something that's my name that actually doesn't belong to me. Isn't that crazy? As a shepherd, because I am into leading and shepherding people. So I have an amazing wife who I met here, been married 27 years or 26, going on 27. And she is phenomenal. And we have 3 amazing children. I have 1 grandchild now. We have 1 grandchild, Israel David Pecoraro. That little man is amazing, 15 months old.
Izzy.
And then also Izzy. That's right, little Israel, Izzy. I mean, listen, that name means something. That boy got to walk, don't he?
Yeah.
And then we have another one getting engaged. So just graduated college. So 1 out of the house, 1 just graduated, is getting engaged, getting married this year, which I will officiate that wedding like I did my other sons. And then we have our daughter going into high school, first year, 9th grade. And so I get the privilege of coaching people. And the way I show up every day is in one-to-one or group. That's how I work with companies. And I go into the business and I develop a leader. I'll develop a team. I have a client right now. My largest right now has 1,100 employees, and I work with their corporate staff on supporting their field better. And these are all people that carry weapons daily. And so I am training them to be servant leaders. That's my job. And so I get to do that in that one-to-one capacity. I have people that are also young entrepreneurs that I work with in that capacity. And then I also do workshops and I do keynotes, and they're all around leading, communicating, and being creative in the things that you do. It's all about you understanding that leadership starts with you and the buck stops with you. And if you want to get better, the only way to get better is you got to change and you go first. That's what I do every day. So hopefully that was a good intro to whom I am every day.
I think now's an opportunity. I've been meaning to talk to you, Tim. I think you should really try and learn a way to monetize your hobbies, bro.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the other things. And that's a great topic, because it's funny you say that, because one of my challenges has been, and a lot of people, and I've had men that have coached me, have told me this, and I do have coaches in my life as well. And I believe I'm trying to help the leaders lead, right? I'm a coach's coach. I'm getting people that are, and I don't need everybody to know them. That's the other part. Everybody wants to tell you who they're coaching. I just want to be coaching the people that I'm coaching and let them do their thing and let them show up as the hero in their own story. There's too many people that think that I'm the coach. So they want to tell you about everybody they coach. They just want to be right front and center. And the thing is how about this? Let them be seen. Let less of you and more of them. How about they talk about your expertise instead of you telling everybody that they call you the expert? So my focus, man, I'm getting fired up, is because people love to call Tim up, bring his truck with all his tools and all his gifts, and they want to cherry pick off of it. Right? But I'm tired of doing that. So with me comes, if you want the truck, I come too, right? So in other words, you can't hire me to go fix wrinkles in your business. You can't hire me to fix wrinkles in your family, hire me to fix these. No, if I'm coming into your world and bringing the truck, and you are the priority.
Yeah. One thing you've hit me with, and I'm sure I've used it or said it before, of are you a product of your product? And that's really been the foundation and the personal check for me in the mirror, is especially with this stage in this modern man journey, is, are you a product of your product? Are you in pursuit of your own potential as well, man? And see, I haven't even gotten to my notes yet. People don't understand. We're 13 minutes in. I haven't asked the first question in my notes yet.
Well, here's what we have to figure out. We have to do one like this, and everyone's going to get you on the Blank Pages podcast. I'm going to get you on there.
Yep.
But we'll do where you'll co-host with me on Blank Pages, and we'll have somebody. And so we just need to do that so we can keep this going. Listen, I don't mind putting you in my favorite co-host category and slide Ted on up over in there with me.
I'm in there.
I mean, it's going to be a small little group of people, but just know Ted's one of them.
Well, and I'm sure I'll be amongst good company as well. But
yes.
So We first did this with the No Rain No Rainbows podcast over four
Sure did.
years ago. A quote from that podcast from you: "You can't go uphill with downhill habits." Um,
That's right.
what are your initial reflections on the men we were then to the men we are now?
Wow, it's interesting. Well, here's the thing. I realized I was with people of character. Well, no, let me fix that. I'm gonna fix that, and I'm gonna talk about you and me. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
just that's all I'm gonna do. You and there are other people that I feel literally demonstrate that character that I say I want to be next to. Um, so when I look at you and when I look at me and I view the hill from the quote you're talking about, ride along partners, people that get on that hill and they understand we can do the normal thing. We go up, but downhill habit's going to turn me around and put me back there again. I mean, I like that. You'll have a bloody foot. You'll stop. You'll get off the bike, but you don't go back down. You'll weave a little bit. You may circle back a little bit, but you turn that sucker around. You may change your wheels. You may change the tire tread. You may change the chain. Then you might say, you know what? It's stop trying to fix other stuff. Then you say, what's wrong with my pedal? What's my posture? And I love that because you check your tools, but you check yourself. So let me say this. I believe the character has improved, which is something you look for, which means the connections, which I'll explain, the integrity is better. Meaning what you and I are talking about, because of the character and the hill and the men we were then versus now, not that we lacked it then, we just didn't have what we have now. We didn't repent the way we needed to repent,
Mm.
right? For the 4 years, we've had to change. We've had to repent. We've had to ask for forgiveness for things. We've had to say, I'm sorry. We've had to go work with, we had to give people grace. We've had to learn new things. So much has happened. But what I love is what I said. You've checked your bike and you've checked yourself.
Yeah.
And you kept going uphill. And because of that, integrity is what's next to you, right? So you have, and you are on camera. So this is a building, a wall leaning, and here's another wall leaning, and they're made of different materials. So let's just say this one is concrete, and then this one over here is a composite. And so what they say, we want to join these together, and we want them to create a roof system. And we want this side to be this and this to be that. But that when they join together, the character of the material is going to determine how well they can lean and touch. But then what you fix them and join them with, that is the integrity. It's so what people are trying to do a lot of times is they wonder what's wrong. And a lot of times people have good character. They're just not checking how they come together in the joint. In other words, it's not integrous, meaning there might be something not up to code in the character of this piece.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you have to check the joint. So when they go check a bridge, they check the joints, they check expansion joints, all that stuff. Then they check, right? That's how they check the integrity. It's where it's joined because concrete's going to hold longer than the joint itself.
Mm.
So we have to look at it. Do we have broken concrete? So I think for me, we are different and we truly have built better character. We've improved on true integrity, not just the fluffy stuff. I think we have become I think less disposable in our attempts of things that we're trying to do. Not that we were flippant, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
In other words, we didn't let our eyes be bigger than our stomach anymore. Like, because we're ambitious, we're entrepreneurs. In other words, we brought the pragmatic into our pictures and we're learning to do that a little sooner, but we're not giving up being idealistic people.
Yeah.
How about that? So that's I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that's clear.
That's huge, man, because that's when I sat down to do the deep dive into this podcast and the prep, it immediately shot me back to how we first started out. And just you mentioned character a number of times, integrity, and I say this as, and you're familiar with the bookshelf and the little small plaque right there.
Oh, yeah.
that my dad talks
Yeah.
about the award for. I have won Emmys, and still my dad says, nope, that little plaque you got.
That's right.
In
That's the best
grade,
one.
character and integrity, but that's really the foundation of what's taken us to where we've been. And I do remember when we first were sitting down and I was talking about the modern man, you asked me something. You said, how committed are you to this? Speaking of being more I would say having more discernment in the things I choose to engage in. That's
Mm,
how I would
mm.
say I am now. Um, but you asked me the projection with modern man, and you said because if I'm committing to something and you commit to something, we got to be all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a reflection that I've had now, and I love that you mentioned that kind of the discernment we have with some of the things that we're doing, and that we're not as flippant, is because I think a lot of men find themselves in trying this, dabbling with that. And I had the reflection not too long ago, and I just immediately thought this would be a great little tangent for us to go on the episode would be, um, instead of trying, what if we engaged more?
Mm.
Like, what if we just engaged? I think of, targets in sight, on your command, let me
Yep.
engage. That the process of
Yeah.
engaging means it's happening. Um,
Yeah. It's
why
an action.
why are so many of us stuck in the try and not the engage?
Mm. Well, it's funny you say that because I'm actually developing a whole keynote around the idea of our addiction to ideas,
Hmm.
right? The idea of a thing. All right, think about it. TED Talk, the big idea. So we get creativity pushed, but what's happening is that's why so many things advance into wackadooville, I think. They just get crazy because we don't know how to get into attempting. Now take a step with it, right? So in other words, if you were to say to someone, I want to help you change your mind. So here's an example. Ted, I want you to help me change my mind about supporting certain method to leadership. And I don't see it like that. What's it going to take?
If you're asking me,
Yeah. What's it going to take? How are you going to change my mind?
for
Yeah.
me,
Hear the question?
yeah,
Here, it's a how. It's an action. If you want a person to change their mind, point of view, perspective, there needs to be some sort of action, right? There's an idea. So if there's an idea and there's an opinion, I have some sort of objection, obviously. How do you get me to change my mind? Changing the mind it requires actions.
Mhm.
So what must you do? And that's what I try to get. It's a simple little response. How do you get people to change their mind? So my goal right now is to get people to change their mind about just having ideas. Can you move things away from the idea of a thing and move it from the idea into, I really want to act on this, right? Because if you don't do that, what you're going to do is instead of marrying a person, you marry an idea. Instead of getting a job and working in something that you're going to do, you're going to work the idea of something. You're going to find disappointments everywhere you go because it's an idea you're looking more so at than it is about the real thing of what you are saying yes to. So the idea is a great genesis, but is nothing that you can use. It's not sustainable ideas do not build anything by themselves. It has to be here and then it has to come out. My glasses case started in here and it came out. The glasses I'm wearing started in here and they came out. Everything has to come, and that's our problem. And the reason I feel it is we don't try more is because we doubt ourselves. We feel we cannot do it. We're looking, and as you said it earlier, it's the search for significance. And the reason people fall in love with ideas is because we feel the idea will help us feel more significant. Instead, if I can get a person to come back, kind of like this, stop trying to become who you already are. It's just covered under your crap. So what I mean by that is if I were to look outside right now and it's kind of overcast, as soon as the sun is behind the clouds. I just need some way to get up 20,000 feet. And if I can't get lifted up above it, I just need to understand and be consciously aware that beyond the clouds are the sun. We as people forget that. What we do is we live our life as if every day is cloudy and the sun is somehow gone, but yet we still have light, even if it's vague or softer. It's still there. So we don't know how to work with our gaps of cloudiness. And the cloudiness is what blocks us from understanding we already are who we're going to be. We just haven't released it because it's called latent potential. All this stuff is in us. It's still undiscovered. It's not lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're fascinated with ideas, because we need a fix. We need a way to feel significant. And here's how I tell people in your search for significance, here's what I want you to do. It's what you said, Ted. Engage somebody. You want to be significant? Ask them about how are they, who they are, how they show up, and how can you help? And if you start there and then they give you that back, here's what'll start happening. You'll get ideas about relationship. You'll get some courage to take a step to try it. Why? Because you have the confidence in the conversation you had when you engaged. Confidence gets you courage. And then when you get the courage, then you'll try again something bigger. And then when you have the right people, those voices now aren't just trying to get you to be brave. They tell you to access the courage you already have. And they're there to tell you and remind you of it. And the confidence you can have saying that is because you did it already, or you've done something that is built towards that. So we got to get people to try things by getting them off of the idea of a thing into saying, how will that thing change my life?
It's the action, taking that first step.
That's right.
Yeah.
Back to the action.
Back to the action. Oh man, I can truly tell this is your life's work. You get fired up with this, and so much so that you're a grandfather and a children's book author.
Oh
now.
man. Yes.
Tell me about Flit Learns to Fly, the inspiration behind the book. And I'm just curious to know if the characters, Zip, Sage, Jax, if they're based on people actually in your life.
So great thing. So for me, I am writing this book, Be Dangerous, which will be out hopefully this year. I was struggling, because I'm one of those people. I'm a frameworks guy. So I so I have a leadership thing I'm going to be launching. And it has 7 parts to it, right? There's a 7-piece framework. When it comes to messaging and marketing, I don't know, it's 7. Okay. Then I have my rule of 3. So I have these numbers I work with. They just help me maybe, I don't know, but they organize things. And there's a really good book, by the way, go look it up. The Organized Mind. Ooh. I encourage anybody to read this book. Okay. Remember, reading books is like eating fish. Take the bones out. Okay. Just people get scared of stuff. It's like, you know what? Yeah. Go listen. If you don't like Trump, go read a book he wrote. You don't like Obama, go read a book he wrote. Like, I mean, that's our problem today. Anyways, God almighty. What was I? So Flit. So what I was doing was I needed a way. Remember, courage, confidence, courage. I write all the time. I just haven't released this book because I'm always working it out and I have my framework. And so what's happening is I'm having a hard time closing my canon. If you get what I mean, having a closed canon. I need to treat the book as a finished thing. And I struggle with that. And that's what I'm working on. And of course, there's a coach out there for that. I get it. Everyone's got a coach for that. And I get it. There's a coach for everything. And I get it. And I have that. So, and I have an author who's an established author who has given me some coaching to write this book. Donald Miller, anyone should check him out. Donald's great. But he has great books as well. But I said, I need a way to do it. So I started thinking, I'm writing all the time. I have all these illustrations. That's all I do. I use examples, metaphors. And then also I started realizing, why is it that I'm sitting across from people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, my age, and older, 60s. And why is it the simplest things are so freaking complicated? Why do they make everything drama? Why is everything, I'm sitting there going, where, and why do they work so hard, right? For the simplest things. They really are, right? Because they would rather say, if it's too good to be true. If it's that easy, it can't be. See, that's the problem. We have advanced things so much that we can't just get back to it being, why can't it be that if I plant corn, I get corn?
It's too simple.
Right. No, well, Tim, there's an existential, there's a new thing. There's a new thing. And I saw it on a TED Talk, right? What's the big idea? Right. So once again, we're on an idea. No, let's go down to some nuts and bolts shelf life thing. And if you felt I was mocking you, someone out there, I'm sorry if I was, but I was, if you were that person. So just don't do that. Don't do that to people, right? Just if it's simple, it's simple. If you want to be complicated, great, but don't feel like you have to force that on people and tell them unless they believe it, it's true. Listen, if this world was wiped out from some electromagnetic pulse and everything was gone, listen, simple machines are going to rule the world. Pulleys, wheels. Okay, you get what I'm saying? That's what we need. Okay, so my books, Simple Machines. My book that's coming out is a simple machine with some very complex things that are going to be very simple to understand. What's going to make it complex is it's going to go against the ideology that you've built in your own head that basically has told you you were built to fail. And I am tired of seeing people live their life with the mental construct of failure. And so I said, if we could, and I love kids. I coach kids. I give my time to kids. I grew up very dysfunctional, very broken, all those things, but those aren't excuses. My story is different. Why? Because I let someone love me. I let someone talk to me and I tried again. And when I was old enough to understand it's about me listening to other people, I said, be teachable. Close your mouth. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more than you talk. And so because of that, it was able to shape me and change and help me to get on a better pathway. And I would wonder, what if kids could get this? And so I thought, what if I could get parents to sit with their kids and read about concepts that they both could benefit from? And so the first book is Flit Learns to Fly, and it's about this bird Flit who's speckled, kind of like me. I'm ethnically ambiguous. I'm a person I'm a minority, man. I'm mixed, And I claim all of me, not some of me. So it's not the prize to claim all of the black in me from Africa. There's no prize in that. The prize is in claiming all of who I am and all of the uniqueness that's been afforded to me and given to me with my story of brokenness and divorce and all the things that have fell apart and all the junk and garbage and lies and illegitimate children. But that changes with me. See, now this is the change because Tim learned to fly. Tim learned to stop trying to fit into things he didn't need to be into. Tim learned that I can move through this life wearing my colors and I can fly and I may fall, but I can fly and I can use what I was born with. And I was built to fly and I was built for turbulence. I was built for wind. I'm not a duck. I'm not a rabbit. I'm not a turtle, but I need all of them to remind me that I'm me. That's what that book's all about. And if I can get parents to sit with their kid and there are big words in it. So I talked to some of my friends who in their cultures, their vocabulary, language, and communication is important. And you can use, listen, and you don't even have to be, but even if you think of Spanish or French, they have a very vast vocabulary. They don't just say, I love you. They say, te quiero, te amo, right? They say things like that. That's different. It's not just, I love you. I love my dog. I love my cat. I love pizza. I love that car. I love Ted. And see, we're supposed to be able to figure out what the context is and how deep it goes. Wouldn't it be great if we could just use a word that says it? So for instance, when I think of my friend Ted, who I do love, and if you're a man out there afraid to talk like this, get over it.
Love you too, bro.
That's the problem. I love Ted. So here's the thing. I love pizza, certain pizza. But let me tell you let me describe my love for Ted. When I see Ted, it makes me want to stand up straight. He makes me want to stand up straight. He makes me want to look deeper at myself. He makes me want to evaluate the man that's going on because this man, Ted, goes on TV and his life is for everyone to see that you live in a way that you're not worried about when you come off the air. That is how I love him, that he would put himself there to be example to people like me who are older than him that still want to grow and learn. He adds value to my life. He's real and he's approachable. And I see how he treats people. That's how I love Ted. So that's a lot, right? But if I can get a book in your hand and in your friend's hand that they would sit with their children and read it and then talk about how they try to move through the world, not being who they were, being afraid to use the gifts that God gave to them in their own way, and that people do think it's special. And you know what? Yeah, even the thing you're built with, you may mess it up. You may be a person that's very good with discernment And when you're young and you're an 18-year-old, you may be manipulating people with it because you discern the situation. And because you're insecure, you manipulate things and you hurt people. But then you get older and you realize you can't do that. That's not the danger God gave you. Your danger is going in the wrong direction. Your danger is discernment. But can you focus it in a direction that's useful and formidable and effective to anything that would tear a person down? That is why I wrote Flit. The next book is it's a reptile character around all the things I'm talking about. So there'll be 3 this year. I have one coming out again, hopefully in the next month and a half, and then one after that. And then the end of the year will be my big signature book. So it comes from what I teach. So my focus on kids is like, that is helping me release to be able to speak to the adults, because in my heart, I'm still trying to learn and to be open and teachable like a child. And I'm asking every day God to help me to not have a hard heart and think that I've arrived, to be teachable and moldable and willing to live my life with an open hand and share and give and be extravagant in it and ridiculous with how you do it. Yeah.
It's amazing, man. It's honorable.
I didn't put the book out to make money. So the book, I don't even know how much it's made. There's an account and all that. I don't even look. And it's all print on demand. So I don't care. That's not the point. The point is the message. There's a story. And in there, I want parents to sit with their kids and discover their own message in their house. Every book I write, I want it to have shelf life. I want it to have a story. And I want there to be a message that people can bring into their life and use that to move forward. That's it.
If iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. But if you're a man and you're alone or listening to this, then who sharpens you? What's going on, guys? Ted Thayton here, host of the Modern Man Podcast, also founder of the Noble Knights Mastermind Group. And I'm just out here encouraging you to find your circle. Maybe you're on a personal growth journey and nobody around you understands the new mentality that you're possessing. That's okay. You can find an online community that will pour into you, will navigate your goals and navigate your obstacles, share their experiences, resources, and more. Join the Noble Knights Mastermind Group and try us out for free to tap into a community of men helping each other scale up and reach their goals.
Check out themodernmanpodcast.com. Tim, absolutely love you, man. And you're doing amazing work. And for anyone listening who is looking forward to that book, I'll have the link in the show notes. And it's a perfect segue because it's a challenge that, hey, we could read that at night before going to bed and then wake up the next day and go after it and rewrite our stories in a new direction. Because every morning we wake up with what we would call a blank page, right?
Yeah.
Which just so happens to be the name of the podcast that you host. Blank pages, and it's something I think listeners could really benefit from, because some men might be listening, they find themselves stuck, or they might find themselves in a position where they don't know how to get started, or they don't know how to undo the path that they've gotten so deep into. And the thought and the concept of a blank page might sound so appealing and so alluring. So how do we start to redefine our story? How do we find that blank page and muster up the courage to put pen to paper and start writing?
That's a really good, like, the how-to of it, because that's the thing, like, what gets me to look at a blank piece of paper. And I think it starts with, the first thing is for me to recognize there's a why behind it. There's a purpose. Like, I gotta really get down to, being me, just understanding me and the guy that's in the skin. And the best way to start doing that is to do this, Ted, talking to men and other guys. I mean, of course, if it's brother you have in your life, a father, a mom, friend, sister, I mean, that's fine. But for sometimes I just think men, women need to sometimes just need women to talk to women, and men just need to talk to men, because obviously we have these unique feelings that are in there that are indigenous, obviously, to our chemistry and makeup, right? And our experiences. So not that we're limited, though. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be finite and saying that's the only way to do it, but you've got to get down to that core of why. It's that purpose conversation with yourself. It's what are your nouns, right? If you can get there and you say, what are my nouns? And the reason you do this is because you want to remind yourself of who you are and how you're showing up, right? So then the blank page is all about, okay, most of us want the clean slate, and that's what I tell people. But if you look at a chalkboard, and even if you wash it, you still see those ghostings there. It's that people call them today, it's like the receipt. It's like people always reminding you of what you did in the past. You're trying to move past it, and they bring up 5 years ago. But yet they say they want to move forward. I'm not trying to argue, but, right? It's like, it's the ghosting. And I'm trying to get people to go, stop it. We already know about the past. We're not being revisionists in our history, and we can't go back and recreate the past. So instead, what we want to do is focus on creating for the future. So if we're agreeable, can we come to this blank page and say, what we're going to do is make new decisions with new perspectives, with understanding there's fresh perspective with new possibility in front of you. But you have to be the willingness to pursue that courage and the confidence to do it, meaning you got to let them go. You got to let that person go who did this. You got to let go of that thing that just didn't work. You got to and just be willing to say it's okay and say, I'm willing to start again. I mean, it doesn't mean you're starting from ground zero. It just means I am going to look at this brand new. Let's go. So that's that first thing that a man can do, I think, to get into that place and understand there's safety there. You know why? Because there's no judgment if you'll suspend your need to. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're giving yourself permission to put out there what you know and what you have. Mm-hmm. And so if you can get to the why part of who you are and how you show up, now you can say, now, where do I want to take this? Right? So now what is the thing that I need the blank page moment for? Is it the relationship? If it's a relationship, so here's a 101 on that, guys. I'm going to give you a quick way to do simple math on a blank page in a relationship. You're sitting there, you constantly are looking at it, the same argument. I would list out what you're always arguing over. I would talk about what your point of view is, because you should know it. You should be an expert of yourself. Don't talk about what they do. Only write down your point of view. Then what I want you to do is to write down your best understanding of their point of view. And then what you want to do is take that and look and say, now, if I look at my understanding in there, can I work with this in a brand new way? So let's just say, there's a goal and this is where you're running at odds. So you look at it and here's the goal and you both want it, but you just can't come to that point of agreement. You have to be willing to look at that and tell both, if it's an impasse, are we willing to move forward? The first thing is this one of those we can only move forward if? Because if you don't, in other words, you're not setting the terms. You're not coming up with anything. Remember, every sporting event, no matter what field you're on, starts with no stats, no info, nothing. You show up with everything you did before and you play that game. That's what you're looking for. You have to make sure that both people have understood, what are we doing? And can we go out onto this field and play this game together? Now, if it's adversarial, that's when you feel like their defense, your offense, and you're going to flip sides, right? I say that's the other part. You're never going to get a blank page moment relationally if you do adversarial. Remember, you're looking to say, how do we work together now? And we're on offense together and we're on defense together, but it's never against each other. So whenever you want blank page and it's yourself, you have to get with your why, who you are, how you're showing up, and what are you willing to suspend so you can step into that space and do it brand new. When it includes another person, you have to understand your point of view, get yours, the best that you understand it of what they're saying, or what you think get your understanding of what you think their point of view is. You can then verify that information with them or not, and then say, can we move forward? Yes or no? Because if not, then you now are going to live with clean slates and you're always going to get a receipt brought up. I'm tired of people doing that. I'm tired of people doing that to each other. I see it all the time. People doing it to each other. Well, remember when? Yeah, I remember. I remember also, when I was 10 and I got a trophy. What does that do?
Hey, man, I like my trophy.
Like what? Yeah, but you get, yeah, but right. Well, but as a historical marker, yes. But there's more. But the significant value of the trophy, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is say, what trophy do you want now? That's the blank page, because what you did to get that other one, some of those elements are going to work, but this is a different game.
I'm not done with that trophy.
This is different.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. But do you get what I'm saying though? So I don't know if that helps, but so my goal is it's all about decision making, to step into the space to say, I'm willing to do this different. It's when couples that have gone through hard stuff say, let's do it again. I'm going to try. And I'm not going to remind you of that stuff anymore. And it's not about forgetting. It's reminding. I didn't say people, oh, I can forgive, I can't forget. Okay, whatever. If you want to torture yourself by remembering, that's up to you. I'll remember, and then I'll work very hard to free myself from it, so I don't abuse the person in front of me who is either giving me the forgiveness, or I've asked, or I've given them forgiveness, or we're doing something, whatever it is. I don't want to hurt them anymore. I already did that, obviously, or something's already happened. So how do we move forward? Let them go.
Blank pages.
Blank page. See, that's where people go, but, oh, okay, look, then you can do clean slate. Do clean slate all you want. You probably have a good life. I want to be free, bro. I want to be free. And if that means I have to call you up and say, please forgive me, that's what I got to do. I'm going to. I'm going to ask for forgiveness. Now, if you forgive me, that's up to you. If you want to work with me, that's up to you. If you want to help me, that's up to you. I'm going to do my part to live free. I'm going to take advantage of every blank page, because for me, the blank page is about writing better in better ways. Because that's our thing. We're always afraid of running out of pages. Because I'll be 54 in July. And we look at our life and people go, oh my gosh. No, to me, it's like, well, I got another 100. I got another 50 in my mind. I'm saying I got 50 more years. I'm going to 104. That's my goal. Okay. Yeah. I got things to do. And if that's the case, that's what I'm going to do. But I am not looking at, I may have less pages, okay, hypothetically, less pages. I just write better. I write better because I understand more. I listen better. I don't have to go through some of the garbage that I would unnecessarily put myself through, because I would violate my own standards. I would violate my own morals. I would violate my own ethics. And if you're honest with yourselves, we all do it. And that's why I had to teach myself how to change, not a blank page to run away and just get a fresh start. That's clean slate. That's what lets you live with a guilty conscience. I want a blank page because I've worked on this.
Yeah.
And I can step into this free.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. We can still ride up from here. You said a couple times your nouns. And I know you have, for anyone that follows you on Instagram, anyone that hits the show notes, they can get the worksheet with their one word. How important is it for us to find that one word? And you mentioned clarity before. What does that one word do for us, and why is it so important for us to identify it?
So it's really cool. And I love with like Waze, and I have a talk, which hopefully, once again, hey guys, by the way, this is what I was telling you about Tim and his truck. Listen, I hear people say all the time, Tim, I love listening to your podcast. And why? They go, man, I get free content all the time. That's what I like, literally. And I love it because I'm like, but that's okay, because that's what we should be doing. Ted, I'm inspired. I listen. Here's the thing. Listen, everybody, listen. If somebody says something you like it, here's what you do. Next time you're out talking, you talk about it. You say, my friend Ted said. So the next time you're out talking, you go out and you say, I've been known to say. Right? So you move from Ted saying it to I've been known to, because it's true. Okay. So in other words, this is free content. So I got myself tangled up. What was the question again? Give me a question.
The question was the importance of finding our one word.
Oh, the one word. There we go. That's right. So when you get this idea, I want you guys to understand, it's not this rule that like Tim says, this is the only way. No, it's a way to focus me. So I love Waze, and there's my WAYS, Tim's Waze, and then there's the WAZE, the Waze app, right? So imagine I'm navigating from information from 1985 when I was 15, and now I'm in 2024. And Ted says, Tim, meet me in Florida. And so I'm using a 1985 map to go to Florida. There's a lot that's changed. And so my trip may not be that good. So I need to update my map inside of Tim to get, you know what I mean? Same thing applies. So 85 Tim doesn't need to make decisions for 2024 Tim. I need an update. So, but then in the direction of where I want to go, personal growth, job, whatever, I set a point and a destination. And then it says, these are your ways. You can get a coach. You can do this. You can do that, and there's all these, and then here's the thing, you add stops. So I believe the one word helps you because you want to begin with the end in mind and you want to have a really strong focus. And for me, it is a shepherd. I want people to live the extraordinary life that I believe that they were God given to do and live. That's it. And that's why it's so important. I feel like if people can because then you are very clear on working towards business you want, if you're a business person, rather than the business you can get. And so the business you can get is when you first start. But if you've been in your business for a long time, and you've been doing things and you're still chasing all the rainbows and all this stuff, then my fear is that you haven't figured out what you want, which means you don't know who you are, which means you don't know how you're showing up. Do you see what I'm saying? So what I do is I want to get a word, something that comes from my nouns. I'm a leader, communicator, and an artist. And my one word is people. So I can take my leadership, I take my communication, I take my artistry, and I can focus them through that filter. People. So I believe it's important. And then if with people that I can build stops in, I can have some other key words throughout, like consistency can be a one word for a year. It can be seasonal. It could be commitment. It could be discipline. But those are stops along the way that I need to make sure I bake into my ingredients or into my recipe.
Find that one word, providing clarity, and I call it North Star, really.
Yeah, well, you're right. Yeah, it's a true north. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
How else you navigate?
I've been sharing this stat, and I have a product I'm building with tools of time, and I might have mentioned this to you about the
you did
Apollo moon rover and how it spends 97% of its journey to the moon off course, but it still arrives with expert timing because it just course corrects. That's the importance of correcting course along the way.
I like that.
97% of its time is off course, but it lands with precision timing. Because as long as you know your North Star, you could course correct. Everybody, I always say this, everybody beats themselves up for having an off day or falling off the tracks. And I'm like, hey, you're going to spend most of your time off course. That's okay. But you know where you're going.
Wow.
So you know you're going to get there. Man.
That is a very, okay. For those who are listening, that is an example. So my friend Ted said 97%, right? And then next time would be, guys, did you know? And I tell people this.
Look it up. Yeah. The Apollo missions.
There you go.
97%. And you can fact check me.
Dude, this is awesome.
You can fact check me on that.
No. Well, listen, even if it's in a margin of error, just that right there, I believe that would be true. I could see that.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that's phenomenal, like how a plane flies, right? How it redirects that air and forces it. I mean, it's just amazing. It moves air.
Yeah.
It's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
Love it.
I know we're running over our time a little bit. I want to make sure
you're fine. Keep going. I'm good.
I want to make sure our audience has a way to connect with you before we get too deep towards the end. So really quick, what are the links that folks can get the book, follow you, get the podcast, and of course connect with you and your amazing work? Because this is just the tip of the iceberg. That is Tim Pecoraro, folks. I'm telling you.
So go to just Instagram right now. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Tim Pecoraro, Pecoraro. It's just like it sounds. P as in Paul, Ecoraro, first name Tim. So you can find me on LinkedIn, but Instagram is where I'm at. I thought about jumping into TikTok. I'm not really sure, but I have some big stuff coming out, which I will send to your audience specifically. And it's the community that I'm building. So everything for me is uphill, as you mentioned the quote. So here I'm just spilling it out there. It's called Uphill Community Network.
Nice.
And so within there's going to be all of these things that I've done, development courses, teaching things that I have, and I'm going to make it available to people who go through different things with me, and then they're going to have access to it. They're going to be like alumni that gets to live in that space. What's cool is there's an app. The app goes with it. They can, when I do go live, they'll be able to just pull their phone up and just listen if they want, chat. There's a space where they're able to just be. So if I'm running a course on developing leadership and I got 50 to 100 people in there, that is a group all by themselves. But when they're done interacting within the course, they can come out into the main space where anyone else has done anything else with me lives in there. So they're all able to interact, share ideas. So then if they want to go find my buddy Ted, they'd be able to slide in there. So that's coming. But right now, to hear all that, you need to go to just my Instagram. It's just at Tim Pecoraro. And then there's a link. My newsletter's on there, other stuff. But I will be now more methodically and clearly pushing out the brand of Tim Pecoraro. Underneath there is my Uphill Community Network with my podcast, which you go to Apple. Okay, so Instagram, and then Apple Podcast is Blank Pages, or Spotify Podcast, Blank Pages, or Amazon Music. But here's the thing, BL space NK, and then space again, P space GES. You'll find it quick. Remove the letter A, and you will find my podcast. Fast.
Love it.
Okay. I did that on purpose. It's a little branding exercise.
Nice.
So that's why I want you to engage with me. And listen, send me a message. If you go on Instagram, send me a message. Of course, I'm a kind, gentle person. Enough said. Okay. That's all you say. So same on LinkedIn. I don't gaslight, burn people, expose, destroy. Like, just if you're into like seeing people develop and grow and all this stuff, man, I'd love to hear from you. Topic ideas, things like that. Talk to me. I love to engage and talk. Okay.
I love that.
That's how you can get in touch.
I'll have the links in the show notes below too, and they can get to your Instagram and all the link tree and everything as well. So I'll make sure that folks can connect with you for sure, man. The last question, and something tells me we're not gonna have a problem going there because it's the deepest question typically that I say for the end. But what is something that has happened to you, or something that you've seen that shapes the way you view the world as a man?
Wow, there's a lot of, and I'm looking at them now as these junctions or junctures or points of intersection. It's back to that character and that thing where it butts in. It's where integrity is realized or not. So all the things you're building, and when you start connecting them, I think I started finding my bad joints. The past 3 years, I've really looked at some things that just weren't good. They weren't integrous. So, I mean, I think we need to get better just as people. Stop saying, oh, it's a misstatement or a misunderstanding. It lacks integrity, or it's broken, or it needs to be fixed. And so I think in some of it is where I felt like things weren't integrous. It wasn't so much about having some sort of ulterior motive or some sort of bad. It's not that. It's how you're putting things together. It's the quality, once again, being a product of your product, making sure that what is in there is really in there. And I started realizing what some of those things were that had pieces of me and not really me. It was the rest of me, not the best of me. Things that I say even in relationships. We do that with one another. We give the best of us to everyone else. We come home and we give our families the rest of us. And eventually you're going to find yourself arrogant, alone, and, and whatever, if you're not careful, right? Like, just be careful. So I would say mostly what I learned was, it was checking the integrity of the things. So the character pieces were fine. It was, they weren't integrous. And most of that had to do with my own insecurity, maybe about something, my doubt in this change or what I'm transitioning or doing. Maybe in the fact that, because I do so much work behind the scenes, and like most people don't know, like when I fly up to Virginia, I mean, I'm in the Department of Labor. I get to go to some very cool things and be in places that I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, like, this is such an honor to be able to be in here and to be trusted. And that's when you say, like, I want to be trusted. It's not that, and I feel like if you're not a person that's willing to ask, am I trustworthy? Can people tell I care about them? Do I add value to their life? If you can't do that every single day, I'm going to say something's wrong with you. Right? Like, because there's nothing wrong with a person who wants to ask those questions, because I think it keeps you making sure your stuff is integrous.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned. And I think it's now it's giving me the better momentum. In other words, my track is less bumpy. It's not such a big turn to the left or to the right. It's straighter. It's less complicated. It doesn't avoid things. If it's I'm still going to deal with what I deal with. I'm not going to try to work around I'm going to go through what I need to go through. The obstacle is still the way. The pressure is still the privilege, and the challenge is still the opportunity. So, but because of that, I'm getting better, Ted, at being a human. And that's what I'm learning.
Speaker, coach, trainer, author, founder of Uphill Strategies, host of the Blank Pages podcast, mentor, friend, brother, inspiration. And again, the man who married my wife and I, Tim Pecoraro. Thank you for being on the show, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me, and everyone out there. Hey, you're in a community that will pay attention to you and grow you. So Ted, thank you for all you're doing and being an example to myself and to others who, and listen, there's a whole community of people who, know from the modern man and some that are out there that I love that are in your modern man stuff. There are women in leadership that are listening to stuff that you put out on your podcast.
I appreciate that.
I love it. Because I encourage them. Yeah. And once again, there are people that understand the world is bigger than my finite, I can't learn or listen to someone because it's not. In other words, they're not offended because it doesn't have them in the title of modern man.
I've had the messages and women are like, oh, so it's not for me. And I'll say, listen, 73% of my audience is men, right? Shout out to the women who listen to it. And I say, this is valuable information for everyone. It's packaged.
Everybody.
It's packaged for the men because I believe that they need it.
So Ted, that's an example. That's you. That is your word. For me, as a driver, if I'm your coach, if you paid me to coach you for your next whatever you're trying to do, I'd be like, Ted, if that is the dart we're throwing, we're going straight men specific, and then we're going to now get into the stops. We're going to add the stops of what are those pillars or foundational items within that one word, because it will make you so precise. You won't buckshot shoot anymore. You will say, it'd be like me saying, Ted, you get 5 223 rounds, brother.
Dial it in.
There you go.
Dial it in.
Well, Tim, I want 6. You don't get 6. It's like when I know people going through stuff, they're going to court. The judge handed me a bad deal. Okay. What'd they tell you? Well, this or this. This is people going through I'm seeing bad stuff in people's lives. People coming up frivolous lives. All this. They said this or this. And I'm going, okay. Which one do you want? I don't want any of them. I don't like the options. Okay. Well, those aren't your options. You have to pick. Well, I don't like those. You got to pick.
100%.
And then now, what are you going to do with it, right? Now, how are you going to show up? Now what? Now, this is when life gets exciting. And that's when I say to him, this is a good time to know you.
Take on that responsibility.
Because I get to see what you're going to do. Who are you going to let out of you? Woo!
Somebody get your popcorn. Anyway. Anybody that's not watching, I'm going to get my soda really quick.
Get that soda, get that soda. I'm fine. I've been drinking the whole time. I got my tea here and water on the other one.
This is actually coconut water and a splash of lemon, but
I'm about to try the coconut. Are you doing that? Is that a diffused? Are you doing
it's
like one of those or infused or whatever it's
hydro
called?
jug. This thing keeps all the water in there all day. I put
hydro jug.
Yeah, 2 things I fill it up with ice, 2 things of coconut water, and then just some of that fresh lemon juice on top and get extra hydrated. When that's done, I fill it up with just water and I drink that for the rest of the day. But I'll give you more of the tips offline, but I need to make sure.
All right.
I say thank you first and foremost for being on the show, man. This has been fantastic. I know the audience is elated that you've come back if they've been listening since No Rain, No Rainbows 4 years ago. First of all, y'all are the real ones if you've been with me since then.
That's right.
But for anyone that
they're the peeps.
Exactly.
Yeah, shout out to them.
For anybody that was introduced to you today, I'm sure it's not the last that they're going to hear of you, and it certainly will not be the last that you're on this show. I know it took 100 and a couple some shows to get you on. I'm not going to make sure
life. You've been doing life
100, but Tim, I'm gonna recap some of the gems you left along the way as we close out really quick. And it all started was you said we were sent to this earth to innovate and build. Collaboration is an admission of weakness. By collaboration, you admit you need help in an area. What we need, an opportunity, identifying that just that opportunity could provide so much to us in life, and how to be the brand. Are you a product of your product? If you are having issues in your world, are you first looking at yourself and increasing your capacity for the world around you? Are you increasing the way you show up in the world around you? And if you're finding some of those cracks out there, are you checking the joints? Are you focusing on the foundation and checking the joints that are putting the structure together? And also, changing your mind requires action. And then stop trying to become who you already are. If you're looking at the cloudy skies that is your life, the sun is still there shining bright. You just have to wave them away a little bit. And then get to the core of why. An area of no judgment, finding that blank page to keep on writing, because now you can decide where to take it. And that one word providing focus and clarity in your life. If you need more help, if it comes to clarity, courage, confidence, leadership, you've already been listening to the man for the whole hour. My good friend, brother, love you, man. Tim Pecoraro, thank you.
Love you.
Thank you for being on, man.
Thank you.
Guys, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe so you can get another episode each and every single week. Share this with somebody, please. I'm not begging, I'm just asking very, very aggressively. That's all. It's the only way we grow. But leave us a rating to let us know how we're doing. It's the only way we can help provide more of the value that you guys are looking for. And as always, as I say at the end, everybody wants the sunshine, but they don't want the rain. But remember, you can't get the pleasure without first the pain. Let's go.